Hi everyone, I wanted to take a minute and make you guys a video that shows how to write a thesis-driven literature essay. If you've taken English 101 or English 110, you've written a thesis-driven essay, but you may not have thought about how that would translate over to writing an essay about literature. In high school, you probably all wrote what would be more of a book report, basically something that says this is what the story was about. And one of the things when college English professors get together, we complain that we keep getting book reports. That's not what we're looking for. We want you to analyze the reading. When you were writing book reports in high school, you probably felt like, well, this doesn't really help me learn anything. And they don't. If you give me a 500 or 700 word summary of the story, that doesn't help anyone. I've read all of this literature 100 times. I believe that you read it. I trust that you read it. I want you to analyze it. So I'm going to talk to you about how you actually go about doing that, because for most of you, you probably have never been taught to do it. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write our Mla heading up in the left-hand corner. If you need help with that, let me know, but you should know how to write an Mla heading. Don't use an APA topic page in a literature class. Use Mla the whole way through. Write your title, make it engaging and interesting, something that would make your reader really want to read. Don't write Mary Rowlandson Faith Narrative or Essay 2. We don't want to see that. And when you save your paper, make sure you save it using your name. So we're going to get to our first paragraph. Indent the first paragraph. You want to use at least 5 sentences in all academic paragraphs. When you're in college, all academic paragraphs should have a minimum of 5 sentences. They'll often be much longer, but they have to be at least 5 sentences long. You'll introduce your topic here, but your last sentence is going to be your thesis statement. And that's going to be a 3-point thesis statement. It doesn't have to be a 3-point thesis statement. If you took English 101, you took English 110, you use 3-point thesis statements. It's easy. 3 points is really good. It highlights your points. It'll support your argument well. It doesn't have to be 3 points, and it doesn't have to be a debatable topic like it does in English 110 if you took English 110, where you're told you have to pick a debatable topic with at least 2 sides. This doesn't have to be that way, but it has to be something worth saying. A thesis statement always must be more than a statement of fact. You can't write, Mary Rowlandson used faith in her narrative. That's a statement of fact. It's not a thesis statement. It's not worth writing a paper about. There's no reason to say it. It's just a given. It's just a statement of fact. You want to write something you can argue or defend throughout your essay. So the thesis statement I came up for this video it's not perfect, but it will do for the points of showing how to write the video. If Mary Rowlandson's narrative is read as a faith narrative rather than a captivity narrative, it changes how it's read because points can be exaggerated, the agenda would be different, and it does not have to be factual. So our second paragraph is going to highlight the first point in the argument, that points could be exaggerated. You're going to use at least 5 sentences, no more than 1 short quote with a signal phrase and an MLA in-text citation. You don't want your paper to be overwhelmed by quote. Your reader is your professor. Your professor read this reading. Don't summarize. This is really my main point. Do not summarize the readings. Analyze the readings. So don't give us a ton of quote. With this particular topic, Mary Rowlandson, we really don't need tons of Bible quotes. We understood that she quoted the Bible a lot. You can point that in a very short amount of space and then support your argument with your own words, which is really what you want to do. No more than 20% of any essay should ever be quoted. You really don't want any more than 20%. It starts to border on a type of plagiarism after that. You don't want to overwhelm your essay with quotes. So we'll argue that here, you know that she could have exaggerated points, that in faith narratives, the authors will often exaggerate the situation. The little guy against the giant. It's a person overcoming a huge thing. And those details are often exaggerated because it's not about that. It's about showing how you use faith to overcome something. Our second point is the agenda is different for writing a faith narrative versus a captivity narrative. This is true. The agenda of a captivity narrative would be to give point by point what happened. The agenda of a faith narrative is to show how you used your faith to overcome a huge obstacle. So remember, third person. You want to use a topic sentence, at least 5 sentences, a short quote, cited, signal phrase. You use the author's name and the page number in the parentheses, period. After that, don't use anything between the author's name and the page number. No comma, no page, P dot, none of that. PG, none of it. Fourth paragraph, does not have to be factual. So we kind of touched on that already. She wasn't talking about, facts. She wasn't saying this is exactly what happened. She was saying, I lost my faith and then I used my faith to overcome a terrible situation. And that's really what she's saying. She's telling the truth. She's not telling facts, and those are two different things. But this can pertain to any of your essays that you write about any topic. John Smith, if you're watching this from another class, a completely different topic. You're in Gothic literature, you're writing about Lord Byron. If maybe you're in another literature class, you're writing about Poe. Well, we write about Poe in this class too. Maybe you're writing about Shakespeare. Whatever you're writing about, your point is that you're not summarizing what you read, you're analyzing what you read. You're taking a point, you're arguing it throughout, and you're doing that throughout your essay. So then we get to our conclusion, at least 5 sentences long. Restate your thesis in a fresh way. My favorite way to do this is to break the thesis up into at least 3 sentences in your conclusion. So you would say, Mary Rowlandson exaggerated points to show how she overcame faith. Her agenda was, and these things didn't have to be factual because, so basically you kind of elaborate on your thesis in your conclusion. You're restating it in a new way, not using it word for word. At least 5 sentences. Never introduce new information in your conclusion. Okay? That's every class, any essay that you ever write for the rest of your life. You never introduce new information in your conclusion. So we're going to go on to our Works Cited page. I already did this and my video freaked out and I had to restart. But what you're going to do is go up to Insert up at the top of Microsoft Word and choose Page Break. Every class that you are in, when you do your Works Cited, you do your bibliography, your references, whatever it's called in your formatting, never press enter and move down to the next page. Always choose Page Break when you need to get to another page. Because when you upload this to the class and send it over to me, it doesn't always look the same as the way that you wrote it. And then you're going to lose points for not having it on a separate page. So choose Page Break. So we are here, it just shoved it down on me, which is one of the things I'm talking about here. If you got to make your formatting stick, and using Page Break is going to help that. So Works Cited, you're going to center, if you write Works Cited references, I'm pointing at my screen instead of using my mouse. You center whatever you are titling it. You cite this, always cite the readings using the author's name and the page number. Never use Perkins, never use the editor's name if you're using a different book, unless you're citing the editor note. You always use the author's name and the name of the story. So here we go, we have Mary Rowlandson. Then we're going to use a hanging indent. So I'm going to press tab. Uh-oh, it just shifted the whole thing over. If anyone's never had this happen to me, you probably think I sound really stupid if it hasn't happened to you. But for those of you who have had this happen, you're going, oh, I hate that and I never know what to do. Just go up to the first line, press enter, then, oh, you're being a jerk. Oh, you're making a liar out of me, aren't you? Okay, so we're just going to do 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, see, computers just always do whatever they want to do, and it's very frustrating. So a tab, when you hit tab, that does 5 spaces. 5 spaces. So if you need to do it by hand, do it by hand like I just did. If you need to press enter to get to the next line, or else it's going to shift the whole thing over, do that. But you use a hanging indent that looks like this. First line, not indented. All the lines after are indented. All of your sources are in alphabetical order. These are the little things that your professors, when I open up a paper, is it in third person? Do I see I, me, we, us, our, and let's? L-E-T apostrophe S means let us. Do I see any of those words? Boom, right off the point. I'm taking off points. And do they use a hanging indent? Did they put their sources in alphabetical order? Did they use also a title and an Mla heading? Did they indent? Did they double space? So you double space, you go up here to this, you choose 2. That's how you double space. These are the first things we notice. If these things are off, we immediately kind of feel like we're reading a lesser paper. There are a lot of mistakes right off the bat, and we go into the paper noticing those. So you can kind of eliminate that. You can have your professor open it up and they're going to go, okay, this looks like a great paper. It's all in third person. The sources, don't have anything weird going on in them. The period comes after the punctuation mark. It has an Mla heading. It has a title. The works cited starts on a new page. The sources are in alphabetical order. They're using a hanging indent. The student knows what they're doing. And when I go into a paper, it's just a natural bias. You go into a paper, you feel like the person knows what they're doing, you expect it to be good, and that's based on something. Because if you don't know how to format a paper, then you're losing probably 10 points off the top. That's in the rubric, in almost every rubric. You're looking for formatting, you're looking for citations, 10, maybe 20, 30 points when it's all said and done, based on those few things that I just told you. So you're looking at probably not getting much higher than a C or a B if you make those little mistakes, and that's based on the rubric, not on bias, but it's just how it is. So also what you want to do, and we look for this, is go to File. When you go to File, go to Save As, and you are going to save your file using your last name, first initial, and the name of the assignment. So there you could use Essay 1 or something like that. But if I get a paper and it says Document 1, or even if it says Rowlandson Faith Narrative or something like that, but it doesn't have the student's name, I notice, and it's hard for me because I save the papers to a folder and then I grade them. I don't know who the student is. I'm trying to upload it back to you guys, which I do sometimes. And it's not good, and we want you to put your name on your paper in both your Mla heading and your save as your title. So I think that answers pretty much everything that we're looking for from you guys. If you have any questions, email me.